Hello everyone, I'm Maki. The Seed series features many fascinating mobile suits. In Seed Destiny, the Zekas and Goufs from the Universal Century series make an appearance. The Gouf was given a brand new form, known as the Gouf Ignited. Did you know that another version of the Gouf series exists in a completely different form? It's called the Gouf Crusher. This mobile suit was created as part of a project called Mobile Suit Variation, which aimed to introduce mobile suits that never appeared in the TV anime series. Today, I'd like to introduce the Gouf Crusher. What combat capabilities does this mobile suit actually possess? If you'd like, please consider joining the 99-cent monthly membership and supporting Operation Ragnarok. The Gouf Crusher brings destruction to enemy mobile suits and may bring a new order to the world. As a thank you, you'll receive a name badge and exclusive comment stamps. Now, let's begin the analysis. The Gouf Ignited was developed as Daft's next mainline mobile suit. However, it lost the competition to the Zaku series and was temporarily denied official adoption. The reason for the defeat was its arm and leg replacement system. The Striker Pack and the Wizard system are mechanisms that grant different combat characteristics by swapping a mobile suit's backpack, depending on the situation. The Gouf series took an alternative evolutionary approach by applying an equipment exchange system to its arms and legs. By replacing a total of 4 parts including both arms and legs according to battlefield conditions, the Gouf could achieve greater flexibility and a wider range of capabilities than the Striker Pack system. The Gouf's arms and legs were designed specifically for this mechanism and featured a structure that allowed for far easier replacement than conventional mobile suits. The goal of creating a highly versatile, high-performance mobile suit was extremely effective under the Junius Treaty conditions, which limited the number of weapons a nation could possess based on its power. The Gouf successfully achieved that goal. However, this system placed a significant burden on the mechanics responsible for maintenance and equipment swaps during operations. Although replacing parts was considered easier than with conventional mobile suits, it still posed a heavy workload for frontline personnel. Consequently, the Gouf lost the performance evaluation trials against the Zaku. Later, as the war with the Earth Alliance intensified, the Gouf Ignited was officially adopted and entered mass production. It was produced under the assumption that its arm and leg replacement system would not be used. The Gouf Crusher is one of the variations of the Gouf series designed during the performance evaluation phase. It is a mobile suit that achieved high combat capability by fully utilizing the defining feature of the Gouf interchangeable arms and legs. The Gouf Crusher's defining feature is its arms. By replacing its arm units, the Gouf Crusher gained overwhelming close combat capability. The Gouf Ignited excels at defeating enemies while maneuvering at high speeds with beam swords and beam guns. In contrast, the Gouf Crusher was developed for extreme close-range combat against mobile suits, fighting in confined spaces and capturing strongholds. Its equipment is based on the idea that melee weapons have an advantage over firearms when enemies are extremely close or battles take place in tight spaces. The development staff also aimed to demonstrate the Gouf series' versatility and expandability by creating a mobile suit with different characteristics than the Ignited. The completed Gouf Crusher demonstrated exceptionally high combat performance. Its effectiveness was proven during mock combat exercises at a self-training space station. In these simulations, in which Jin and Sigu units served as the opposing forces, the Gouf Crusher received very high valuations. However, as previously mentioned, the burden on the mechanics was not sufficiently reduced, so the Gouf Crusher was never officially adopted. Nevertheless, its effectiveness was highly valued by certain senior officers. Consequently, rather than being dismantled, the Gouf Crusher was preserved in a state of readiness for immediate deployment. This decision would later contribute to a new transformation in the world. I will explain this in the next section. Now, let's take a look at the Gouf Crusher's weapons. Its armament configuration is simple. The first weapon is a hammer. In Japanese, it is called the Hasaikyu. The word Ha means destruction. Sai is often used to describe crushing something into pieces. Kyu refers to an object shaped like a ball. Essentially, it is a straightforward name that means a ball that destroys enemies completely. It is used by connecting it to an additional plug attached to the tip of the Slayer whip, mounted on the right arm. Since it uses a heavy weapon, the right arm is designed to be thicker and more durable than those of conventional mobile suits. The hammer contains built-in rocket thrusters that increase attack power and enable effective use in space. Although it can produce tremendous destructive force, its effects go beyond simple destruction. When a massive object collides with a target, an enormous shock impact is generated. This allows for severe damage to be inflicted directly on the pilot of an enemy mobile suit. Actual combat records contain the terrifying description that enemy pilots were instantly turned into minced meat. It remains unclear whether the Slayer whip, which connects to the hammer, includes heating mechanisms or electric attack functions similar to those of the Gouf Ignited. There are no descriptions in combat records confirming that such functions were used. Next is the impact vise. This weapon is mounted on the left elbow. When activated, the arm rotates around the joint and transforms into a configuration that replaces the left forearm. It is designed to clamp onto and crush enemy mobile suits. Using explosive cartridges, it can generate enormous destructive force in an instant. Its crushing power can reach up to 3 million G. Against standard armor, a single cartridge is sufficient to destroy the target completely. Phase shift armor is also calculated to break through the continuous flow-to-use of 20 to 30 cartridges. The Gouf Crusher's attack power can destroy even phase shift armor, considered among the strongest levels of mobile suit armor. These two weapons defeat enemies at extremely close range. This is the Gouf Crusher's defining characteristic. As mentioned earlier, the Gouf Crusher was never officially adopted, instead it was preserved. Then, a battle that would determine the fate of the world began. This operation was called Operation Ragnarok. It was an assault on an Earth Alliance base, also known as the Battle of Heaven's Base. The mission's primary objective was to capture Logo's executives, who were designated extremely dangerous criminals. Henry Eugenie, a Zaft-Phase member, participated in the operation while piloting the Gouf Crusher. He had also been involved in developing the Gouf Crusher and trusted its performance. Anticipating intense close quarters combat in confined spaces, he chose to deploy it. And so, the battle began. Just as Henry had predicted, he and his special combat unit successfully infiltrated a hidden dart beneath the base. This success was due to intelligence obtained from Earth Alliance personnel, who had rebelled against Logos and joined Zaft. Henry and his team advanced toward the nuclear-resistant shelter, where the Logos executives were hiding. The operation had an extremely low probability of success. Nevertheless, Henry and his forces bravely pushed forward. They advanced with the resolve to abandon the common image of coordinators as calm and intellectual and to fight instead like ferocious beasts. Soon, an Earth Alliance mobile suit unit appeared in the path of the Gouf Crusher. However, the confined base facilities overwhelmingly favored the Gouf Crusher in combat. The impact vice and hammer swiftly destroyed the enemy mobile suits one by one. The enemies destroyed by the Gouf Crusher's attacks did not explode or burst into flames. Instead, the deafening sound of metal snapping and shattering echoed throughout the facility. As a result, Henry successfully captured Logos leaders. This was a significant step toward creating the new world Gilbert Journal envisioned. However, Lord Gibril could not be captured. His escape would later bring devastating tragedy upon Plant. Henry deeply regretted this outcome and suffered while mourning the victims. Nevertheless, the Gouf Crusher proved to be an extraordinarily powerful mobile suit. It protected Henry's life during an operation that was considered impossible to survive and enabled the mission to achieve at least some of its objectives. That concludes the explanation of the Gouf Crusher. In fact, the Gouf Crusher specifications have changed slightly since its initial release. Originally, it was described as a prototype mobile suit that preceded the Gouf Ignited. The idea was that after developing the Gouf Crusher prototype, specification changes eventually led to its evolution into the Gouf Ignited. Since the Gouf Ignited was officially adopted, and the Gouf Crusher is defined as a variation of the equipment that existed during the prototype phase, the original setting remains consistent. The Gouf Crusher actually has another form as well. In the Astray series, the Gouf Crusher evolves into an even more powerful mobile suit. I'm planning to create a separate episode to discuss that version in detail. Please look forward to it. Thank you very much for watching until the end. I'll see you in the next episode.